to really... Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, Rudy and I have a very, very exciting video for you. It's something that's near and dear to Rudy's heart. More like your little stomach, huh? And it's going to be all about sprouting. Yes, creating a DIY sprouting mix for your parrot to really bump up their nutritional needs in their diet. So we are going to go to the grocery store and pick up some items, and I'll meet you back here to create the sprout mix. Hey guys, it's Future Sydney here, and I just wanted to let you know you never want to pick up a bean soup mix to sprout for your parrot. There are so many large beans in there that become toxic to your parrot once sprouted. Hey guys, I am back from the grocery store. I am back for foraging for all of our seeds, nuts, grains, legumes, etc. And here's what I picked up for our ultimate DIY sprout mix. We've got some brown rice, some lentils, some whole chickpeas or garbanzo beans. We've got alfalfa seeds donated to me by my dad. Thank you very much, Dad. I picked up some white quinoa. This is gonna sprout really fast. It usually only takes about 24 hours to sprout. And then I also picked up some raw pumpkin seeds. So we're gonna soak and sprout these, as well as some raw whole almonds. Now you won't see the traditional sprout for these almonds. They're more likely to just swell and it's all going to be internal, but it's still gonna be delicious to add to the mix. So let's get started and compile all of this stuff together. So I'm gonna make this really easy for you guys. We are going to do a 1-to-1 ratio. All of this is actually probably going to make a DIY sprout mix that lasts a whole year. There is so much here. A little goes a long way when it comes to sprouting, especially when you're just doing it for one little birdie. Empty bowl. Full bowl. Look at that nice mix, guys. That's awesome. This one's for me. So the next step is to actually start the sprouting process. And this is where it gets fun. So we have our mix put together. And what we're gonna do to sprout is we're going to take a standard mason jar. You can pick these up at the grocery store, or I'm sure you might have some on hand already. And then this is the little gadget I really recommend you picking up. It makes the process so easy and worry-free. And I believe I found this one on Amazon, so I'll link it down below so you can see it for yourself and see if you want to order it and give it a try. But it's just a screw-on. So it's going to screw onto this mason jar. And it's got this metal mesh, like breathable mesh, so you don't create too damp or humid of an environment and encourage bacteria and mold to grow on your sprouts, because freshness is the name of the game when it comes to sprouting. You don't want things to go wonky. You don't want them to smell funny, look funny, because then they are not safe to serve to your bird. So let me show you how we're gonna start the sprouting process. I've got my mason jar here and I've got my DIY sprout mix. It looks so yummy. And I am just going to take a spoonful and spill it everywhere apparently. And then one more spoonful. And that's all I'm gonna use. That'll last me about a week for Rudy, because this is not going to be the staple food. You never wanna feed just sprouts. You wanna feed these as a topper. So they're almost gonna act like a multivitamin for them, like we would take our vitamins every day. You wanna top with sprouts every single day, in addition to their varied and balanced diet of chops, pellets, etc. So now we're going to soak our sprouts overnight. So I recommend you start this sometime in the afternoon, and then in the morning they should be ready for their first rinse. So we're gonna go ahead and add some water, and I'm gonna add about 8 ounces of water. I'll show you where it hits on the mason jar. The key is you want about 3 times as much water as there are sprouts. So that'll do us just fine. And what they're gonna do is it's gonna soak up all that water and start the germination or the sprouting process. And that's what's gonna give it that nutritious flavor for our parrots and all those awesome benefits. But now it's time for the sprouting secret ingredient.
Now hand over the secret Krabby Patty formula.
Huge shout out to Bird Nerd Sophie for putting on this GSE by Nutribiotic. It is basically grapefruit seed extract. It's basically going to reduce any bacteria or fungal or mold growth that's going to occur as we soak and sprout our seed mix. Because this is such a damp process, there naturally are going to be certain microbes that are going to want to latch on to our mix and grow, but those are not good for our birds. So we want to minimize those as much as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about 6 drops of this to our mix and let it sit overnight. Okay, so we have our sprout mix soaking, and we're gonna put this off to the side in your kitchen somewhere where it's not gonna be messed with, and we will check in on it in the morning. Okay guys, it is the next morning, and this is what our sprout mix looks like. It looks a little funky and gross. You might notice it's very cloudy. That's okay. What we're going to do is we're basically going to take this and rinse it until the water runs clear in cold water. Now that looks really, really clear. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to leave this to soak for 5 minutes. We're gonna add that secret ingredient, the grapefruit seed extract in here. Let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then we're gonna drain the water, but not rinse it this time. And then I'll show you how to store it while you're waiting for your mix to sprout. So now we want to set our sprout mix in an area where it can lean at about a 45-degree angle to promote drainage so it doesn't stay super moist. I have something jimmy rigged. It's just a Tupperware and a lid that kind of props it up at a 45-degree angle. But you can buy actual stands for sprouting that are much more professional. But this is just what I make do with, and it works just fine for me and Rudy. So now we're going to leave this here till tonight. We're going to rinse it again tonight, add a few drops of that grapefruit seed extract, drain it, and put it back in its station. And you're just going to repeat that process, rinsing and draining twice a day until you start to see sprouts. So let's check in about 48 hours and see how we're coming along. Just wanted to show you guys that they're starting to sprout. This is about after 48 hours. The quinoa seems to be mostly sprouted, as does the alfalfa beans or alfalfa seeds. The almonds are nice and soaked, and the pumpkin seeds are just sprouting, starting to peak in some places. They're starting to break that outer casing. So the lentils also are off to a nice start. They are almost, give it one more day, you'll see a bunch of little sprouts on them. You can see that one's starting right there. But I sprout continuously throughout the week. So Rudy will eat these at different stages, but this is ready to go. I'm gonna give him his first serving today. And I'll probably sprout for 3 more days before I call it done and start the process all over again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is what it looks like, and me and Rudy will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all. Good kissies. Yes, good kissies. Say, we're gonna do a tutorial on kissies, aren't we? Yes, we are.